I'm looking at the latest numbers from Polymarket. This is just from a day ago. Pierre Poilievre, 51% chance. Mark Carney, 49%. Now, this is really close. I mean, Poilievre is just, you can say a nose ahead. But let's remember, just a week ago, Pierre Poilievre, 40% chance. Mark Carney, 60%. So Carney, it looked like, was going to win. And remember, to me, this kind of stuff, these betting markets are better than polls. They're better than polls for a very simple reason. When people reply to a poll, they're putting nothing on the line. They're supposed to say what they think, but sometimes they say what the media wants you to think, or what they feel like they ought to think. It's entirely different when you ask somebody, listen, who do you think is going to win the Canadian election? And can you take two $20 bills out of your wallet and put it on the table, and you're, in a sense, making a bet. So if you're right, you get your money back and then some, and if you're wrong, your money gets confiscated. Well, you find that kind of approach causes people to pay attention and be very careful in the kind of bets and predictions that they make. And so as a result, Polymarket has shown that not just in political races, but all kinds of stuff, they're able to quite accurately forecast or call what's going to happen because they are relying on the intelligent assessment of people who have skin in the game, who have a stake in the outcome. So I take these betting odds as pretty reliable predictors of what's going to happen. Now, the election is not tomorrow. It is, if I am not mistaken, at the end of April. So it's a full month away. But I think that this all bodes pretty well for Pierre Poilievre. Why? Because the sober assessment of Canada is that there needs to be new leadership. It has been very poorly run under the Labour government, under Trudeau. This Carney is no improvement over Trudeau. In some respects, he may be better, but in other respects, he is clearly worse. And Poilievre is basically the real deal. Yeah, he's gotten into some skirmishes with Trump. At one point, Trump somewhat peevishly said, well, I don't care if it's the conservative or it's the Labour guy. Maybe from Trump's point of view, which is looking at it through the tariff lens, Trump is saying, look, in some ways, the conservative may be a harder guy to bargain with on tariffs than the Labour guy. So looked at from that perspective alone, but I'm actually looking at it from a broader perspective, which is to say it's good for Canada to have a conservative government. And I think long-term, it's good for the right globally. In other words, we want conservative leaders around the world. We want to get rid of Albanese in Australia and have they call it a liberal government. We want to have conservative policies. We want to avoid the depredations of the left. We like Giorgia Meloni in Italy. We obviously like Milei in Argentina. We like Bukele in El Salvador. And so this trend would be fortified if Pierre Poilievre made it across the finish line in Canada. And so regardless of Trump's doubts and ambivalence about it, I certainly hope he does.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.